God. Uh, so I plead with you guys, right? Stop talking about rankings. Stop. You gotta stop. And I've made some headway. I've made some headway with that, but I haven't succeeded fully. I want to universally succeed. I don't want rankings to go away, but I'm right up to that line. Whatever that line, where rankings just no longer exist, I'm right to that line. The person who does the rankings and or persons who do the rankings have never been named, and they never will be named. They would have to make that conditional. Like whoever comes in and says, all right, we're going to buy some rankings. We need rankings and we need them every week. And here's the deal if you're the one that comes up with them. You would have to make, okay, I'll take the money. I'll give you the rankings. One caveat, keep my name out of this forever. You would have to you don't want to be known as the guy that does the rankings, and not for the political reasons that people are trying to get to you and manipulate, right? You remember when they used to do that with songs? DJs around the country were in on the gag with managers who would pay the DJs. This was like some kind of a scandal. To me, that makes perfect sense. I can't imagine that you're going to have a Billboard's top ranking, and that if you were a manager trying to push your talent, you're not going to try to incentivize the DJs. That makes perfect sense, but this was a scandal. The great Dick Clark was put under oath and had to be brought in on this. You guys ever heard that story? It's not the reason that the rankings people need nobody to know who they are. It makes no level of sense. One reason that guys turn down fights, and they've used the rankings. This is my only problem with the rankings. I like having a number. I like having something to talk about. Every sport has a ranking system. Ours has got to have it too. My problem isn't with that protocol. My problem is the way that fighters are getting out of fights and turning to the rankings as their reasoning. And then having you all, the audience, accept the reasoning. They accept, if you chicken out of a fight for any goddamn reason, you still chickened out of a fight. It's as simple as that. I'm from West Lynn. Those are the rules, but I didn't make them. I'm just observing and stating them, and I assume that your neighborhoods are the same. Well, apparently not. If you don't have a ranking, and guys want to fight somebody, let's say I'm ranked number 5, and they offer me a fight, and that guy's ranked 10. I now don't want to fight him because I have nothing to gain, right? I'm not guaranteed anything. Forget about the mere fact that it's what I do for a living. Forget that I'm going to be paid. I'm going to have a platform. I'm going to get to practice my craft. I'm going to be paid a bonus if I beat him. Forget all of those things. What's more important to me is that he has a higher number so I can then claim his number. And then the people go for it. The audience acceptance. Well, this doesn't make sense. I actually hear people say that. The only word I hate more than ranking is sense. Well, this doesn't make sense. Because you always hear it from a dum-dum, and his rationale and reasoning is so upside down and backward. Just say you don't want to do it. We don't need to use rankings we don't need to use anything. You don't want to do it. You're a chicken. Your client's a chicken. Move on. Maybe there's somebody he's less scared of, right? It's just one of these things. It's the reality. But I've heard it work, and I've heard the argument used. Hold the thought. Islam Makhachev was ranked number 9 coming into his fight over the weekend. His opponent was ranked number 14. So Islam, who was number 9, fought and defeated number 14. Islam is now ranked number 5. I have absolutely no problem with that. I don't. I believe that Islam is a top 5 guy. I believe that Islam should be 5 or not higher. The rationale of a number 9 fighting a number 14, and that's what moves him forward 4 spots, is just something that you guys need to hear. You need to be aware of it. The rankings are ridiculous. The rankings still have Islam in the wrong spot. Islam should be higher than number 5. I'm only sharing with you the argument that has been made time and time again that a guy who's ranked number 9 should not, because it doesn't make sense, fight anybody that goes the other way, that isn't one of the guys 1 through 8, but it goes the other way. Should not happen. It doesn't make sense because he has nothing to gain. That's not true, and it's never been true. And the example that I'm giving you now is not unique. It's just now. I'm just giving it to you because it's now. So Islam, who was 9, defeats number 14, exactly the way the rankings said it would go. Islam moves forward 4 spots. So whoever was 5 doesn't get to be 5 anymore, and he did not lose. Whoever was 6 doesn't get to be 6 anymore, and 7 doesn't get to be 7, and 8 doesn't get to be 8, and they didn't lose. They didn't even compete. And they all got moved because Islam, who was 9, beat number 14. I realize I'm chasing my tail here. I realize I just keep saying the same thing to you guys, but I want it to set in because there's a lesson here. Islam did everything right. He took whatever opportunity came his way, and then he went out and he looked as good as he could. And he should not have to sit at 9. When the ranking official or the rankings committee, right, it's hard to say that without laughing. When the unknown group that submits a ranking every Tuesday, when they get together, they have every right to assess the body of work that was Islam Makhachev for 25 minutes, to assess that body, juxtapose and compare it as experts in the space to other performances they have seen, to come up with a hypothetical and then put the number of 5 next to Islam. They have every right. That is appropriate. I'm just sharing with you guys that that's how it works. You don't go from 9 to 5 by beating number 3. You can. You don't have to. The example I'm giving you happens every single week. I am only choosing to, I don't want you guys to hear this and go, well, hey, it's human error and a mistake was made. And, Chael, that is a little bit silly that 4 guys all moved down and they not only didn't lose, they never even competed. And it sounds like there's a recency bias. I get all of those things. That's just not what I'm doing here. This happens every single week. There is something mythical that doesn't follow any kind of a protocol, but it doesn't make it any less appropriate. If you are armed with the evidence that you now have of Islam's competition, him being taken down, reversal, everything that he did, weaponizing pace, dealing with adversity, having great nerves, dealing with the main event. If you're armed with all of those things and you come to a conclusion that he's lower than 5, you failed at your job. I just want the fans to understand, and the fighters as well, the only thing that you need to do is go out there and perform and win. It's the only thing you have to do. The rankings aren't real, right? They really exist, and they're not real. There's a reason if you're ranked number 1 that Dana doesn't mail you a check or FedEx you a belt. You haven't actually done it. You got to go out there and perform. But for anybody who's trying to get out of a fight, and I understand the whole thing, by the way, don't think you're fooling me. I understand that when you say you don't want to fight again because it doesn't make sense or because he's not right. I get that you're chickening out. I just want all of you to acknowledge it too. There used to be a good old day. There used to be a good old day where you shamed a guy into do something, right? As fight promotion. There used to be a good old day where you labeled him for what he was, which was a coward. And there was nothing wrong with it. There was more of them walking around than there was macho guys. But the difference was the macho guys weren't holding up a spot on a roster called the UFC.